An elderly businessman collapsed and was pronounced dead at the hospital just as the early morning fire on Regent Street was approaching his building, which housed his business and home. The man was pulled from the burning building by his son, but it was too late.
No, he died. He just died, buddy. He just died in the hospital.
The fire began just around 5 this morning at one of the Chinese-owned stores on Regent Street between Camp and Alexander Streets. A number of Chinese nationals had to be rescued from the building. The fire service responded promptly, but the blaze soon got out of control and crisscrossed to the nearby buildings, which housed several boutiques and electronic stores.
I tried.
Why you didn't call me
I
earlier?
carried out the hospital for us because he won't catch it himself.
I see the fire from home. From me and we calling and you know we were here all the time. Now mom will tell me that the store burning and they run out there.
Members of the public came out and some assisted the firemen as they moved in to douse the flames. But the fire was spreading quickly to the wooden buildings, and with just 2 fire tenders at the Regent Street scene, it appeared as though the fire service became overwhelmed. When Capital News arrived on the scene, the fire was at least 2 buildings away from the popular Lucky Dollar home furnishing and electronics store. But with the firemen unable to contain the blaze to the building where it started, it soon moved its way through the 3 other buildings and engulfed the Lucky Dollar store, as employees and managers looked on helplessly, not being able to fight back tears and their disgust.
One bloody tender body outside for the roof, the man! What are you trying to say up there for? That is done! That is done! You have to break it! You get it, man!
The fire engulfed the Lucky Dollar store and firemen were forced to retreat as the flames became too much for them. One of the large fire tenders was brought in as the fire threatened the nearby City Mall, which houses dozens of businesses. The fire was eventually contained before reaching the mall. However, there were some damage to that building. Some businessmen rushed to their stores and removed their stock as the fire swept through. Over the past 3 years, there have been a number of fires along Regent Street, and every time fire strikes in this busy shopping area, the fire service would never be able to contain the blaze to just one building. Fire hydrants in the area are not working and have been in disrepair for years. The fire service was forced to source water from trenches at Church and Camp Streets and Alexander and South Road. Fire Chief Marlon Gentle said working fire hydrants would have been of much help. In terms of the fire hydrants, again, another fire on Regent Street, and we were faced with all these fire hydrants lining the streets, none of them working.
So my only comment is that the absence of the fire hydrants here would have certainly impeded our actions.
The fire chief also said that his fire service responded as soon as they got a call at the central fire station. When asked why there was not a much bigger response, he said fire tenders had to come from different stations.
No, you saw 2 tenders on Regent Street. There was one on South Road and one on Church Street. That's the plan for Regent Street. 4 tenders hours response to the built-up areas.
But it took half hour for the fancy one to come.
Yes, because that comes from West Rhineville.
The origin of the fire is unknown. The fire chief said they have tried talking to the owners of the Chinese store where the fire began, but there was that language barrier. The origin of the fire is unknown this evening. The fire service said they have tried talking to the owners of the Chinese store where the fire began, but there was the language barrier. Businesses in the area are counting hundreds of millions of dollars in damage this evening.